The anime begins with a boy named Seiichi being hugged by a pink-haired girl without clothes. She wants to marry him and he doesn't understand what is happening and remembers how he ended up in this situation. A few months ago, the school day began with a voice speaking through the interlocutor to a classroom. The voice claims to be a god and tells them that it will transport them to another world where they will be heroes and gives them the ability to see their skills, statuses, and items. Students must form groups immediately because they will be transported right away. But one student is left out, Seiichi, the boy in the class. Then the god decides to give him a special skill since he is alone. Seiichi is transported to a strange forest where he spends 5 days alone without eating and without seeing anyone. He is so hungry that he wants to eat a caterpillar. But suddenly, he sees a strange fruit and before eating it, he appraises if it is edible. And according to the information, this fruit is called the fruit of evolution. Seiichi eats the fruit without thinking much, and a strange voice says that the effects of the fruit of evolution will begin to activate, but he doesn't feel any change. After that, Seiichi finds some level 120 monkeys. They have more fruits of evolution and high-grade recovery potions. Seiichi waits for the monkeys to be distracted and steals them. Meanwhile, in the school of the other world, all the students who are transported are reunited. Shada, Kenji, Mayu, and Kamizuki worry about Seiichi, since he was the only one separated from all the students. Back in the forest, the days pass and Seiichi continues eating questionable things like unknown mushrooms that give him paralysis. Suddenly, he is attacked by a monkey, which wounds him deeply. And when he is ready to attack him back, the monkey smells his disgusting body odor and immediately passes away, and its items and skills are given to Seiichi. He can now read monkey language and learns that the clever monkeys are intelligent and good at alchemy and capable of creating potions. And the surprises do not end. The fruit of evolution is activated again and Seiichi feels strong muscle and bone pain until he becomes taller, thinner, and more handsome. He immediately checks his increased status and skills, but unfortunately his level is still 1 and the worst thing is, he needs to evolve 9 more times to finish his evolution. 5 months later, Seiichi has increased all of his status and even easily defeats a magic wolf, gaining its skills, items, and more importantly, its magic book. Now he can use magic. Then he feels muscle and bone pain. He evolves again and is happy that this was his 9th evolution. It only needs 1 more. Suddenly, he is surrounded by clever monkeys and a big pink gorilla challenges him to a fight. Seiichi doesn't want to and dodges his powerful punch. The pink gorilla blushes when realizes that Seiichi is strong and intelligent and he can't believe that it is a female gorilla. The pink gorilla tries to punch him to but Seiichi survives, which makes it more interested in him and tells him that its name is Saria and she is interested in strong males. The fight continues and Seiichi has nothing left but to use the magic that he acquired from the magic wolf, but he does not know how to use it and he only embarrasses himself. He thinks that he is going to now, but he comes up with one last idea. Seiichi activates his disgusting body odor to defeat Saria, but this causes her to fall in love with him, and the pink gorilla asks her to marry him and carries him away. Saria takes Seiichi to her house inside a tree, cooks for him, makes him new clothes, and he admits that she has good qualities to be a good wife, and suggests getting a male gorilla as her husband, but Saria only wants him. Days later, they go fishing and Seiichi gets scared of a giant spider and Saria gets rid of it in an instant, worrying about him, which makes Seiichi blush, realizing that her concern for him is genuine. The next day, Saria tells him that she will go with the clever monkeys to look for more fruits of evolution, since these are useful to reach the maximum peak. But if you eat 11, it can be lethal. She had collected 10 for her future husband because she already ate 10, but someone stole them. Seiichi confesses that he stole them and ate them because he was hungry, but Saria is not angry. She forgives him easily and says that they are already married, although Seiichi says that is not true. After that, Saria goes hunting and Seiichi takes the opportunity to escape. Meanwhile, in this world's academy, all the students are being trained by Zekia, a warrior who is teaching them how to use the sword. Back in the forest, Seiichi runs non-stop to escape from Saria, but the pink gorilla quickly discovers it and runs after him. Seiichi arrives at a cave and regardless of the danger, he enters. Inside the cave, there is a dungeon with a throne and a skull greets him saying that if a human has come to see him, he must be very strong. Seiichi checks his information and only says that the skull is called Demon Xenos and is level 1500. The demon gets angry because he thinks Seiichi is a weak human when he's about to run him through with his sword. Saria gets in the way and is seriously injured. Seiichi tries to give her recovery potion, but Saria says that the attack was lethal and she doesn't have much time left and thanks him for never fearing her while Seiichi cries for her. Xenos mocks them since they are a couple of different species, injuring Seiichi, who summons his magic sword that he got from the wolf and tries to fight back, saying that he will not forgive him for hurting Saria, since he loves her. Suddenly, Saria begins to glow and Seiichi manages to strike the demon with his sword. He cannot believe that someone finally defeated him and thanks Seiichi for showing him true love. Xenos begins to shine and is reunited with his great love Marie, and his spirits rest in peace. Saria continues to shine and begins to cry, saying goodbye to Seiichi. He also cries and gives her a kiss, but his tears make her turn into a human girl. Seiichi can't believe that his pink gorilla is now a beautiful girl, and together they review the demon items and the book that tells his story. It turns out that 1500 years ago, Simos was a nobleman loved by his people, but the emperor of that time tried to eliminate him, and Marie, his lover, intervened instantly, and since then, he became a monster. After reading his story, the demon's skills and items pass to Seiichi, and a voice announces that Seiichi's final evolution is going to begin, and now he is more handsome and cooler than before, according to Saria. He tells her that he wants to leave the forest, and she agrees to go with him. Suddenly, a sheep named Mr. Sheep appears, saying that he is the dungeon administrator, and he is going to give them their rewards for clearing the dungeon. He gives them a fruit of evolution, cultivation set, and a 10 days travel set. So he changes their clothes, gives her a dress, and gives him a helmet. Finally, he teleports them out of the forest. Seiichi and Saria hold hands and are ready for their new adventure. The first thing they encounter is a level 88 slime, but Seiichi easily defeats it, and he realizes that he is now monstrously strong. Suddenly, his helmet begins to glow and transforms into a robe, and a letter appears from Mr. Sheep, explaining that he is leaving his humanity behind and his power has grown so much that he no longer needs to hide, so his helmet evolved into a robe. Then they arrive at the royal capital, Telbert, and the guard Claude at the gate asks them for their ID cards because it is strange that they don't have one because even the slaves have one. They lie that they lost them, and the guard makes them put their hand into Gem of Truth to see their criminality, and fortunately, they prove to be clean. Seiichi tells Claude that they are going to the guild, but Claude fervently asks him not to fall into the temptation in that place. Although Seiichi finds the warning strange, they go and they realize that the guild is a room to fulfill fantasies, and the guild master is a bodybuilder who only wants to show off his muscles. He is Gussel, who forces them to enter at the guild, and the receptionist, who was previously a girl, transforms into a cute girl named Eris. As things seem more normal, Saria convinces Seiichi to register with the guild since he wants to find Shouda, Kenji, Mayu, and Kanazuki. Suddenly, some guys enter the guild and take Seiichi to meet his boss, and when he sees that Seiichi is handsome, he takes off his clothes and makes it clear what he wants. But Seiichi runs away and returns to the guild. Eris and Gussel tell them that they will take tests to determine their abilities and assign them an A-rank adventurer named Artoria the Calamity. Artoria doesn't want to be her test protector, but Gussel convinces her. Then, Artoria explains to them that there are odds jobs, first helping in an orphanage, then demolishing a building and walking a dog. They arrive at a church, and Saria asks to take this test because she wants to help the nun and the orphans. Meanwhile, Artoria takes Seiichi somewhere else and she heals a boy's knee, but suddenly some wooden beams fall on them and Artoria uses magic to protect the boy. Then they go to a ruined building and she says that it must be demolished. Seiichi barely touches a wall and everything collapses. Artoria feels guilty because everyone who gets involved with her suffers calamities. Fortunately, Seiichi gets out of the ruins safely, and Artoria scolds him, saying that an adventurer should not act without thinking, since he has Saria and should not worry her by acting so irresponsibly. Meanwhile, in this world's academy, Zekia watches the students practice with the wooden sword and tells Orphe that he is against the war against the monsters because he does not want any of these students to. Back to Seiichi and Artoria, she takes him to the mansion of a noblewoman called Adriana. Seiichi must walk the dog, but it is not a normal dog. It is so big that it looks like a wolf and is difficult to control. Then Adriana tells Artoria that it's good to see her smile and thinks it's thanks to Seiichi. At the end of the day, the three return to the guild and Gussel pays them for their work, and to everyone's surprise, Artoria invites them to spend the night where she is staying. The next day, Artoria takes Seiichi and Saria to do another test. They have to harvest 10 medicinal herbs. Saria finds them and presents them without problems, but Seiichi only found mushrooms, and Artoria orders him to go look for the real medicinal herbs. In the forest, Seiichi hears 3 trolls making plans, and he asks them if they saw medicinal herbs, but the trolls think that he discovered their plans and begin to attack him and summon a giant troll. But Seiichi just smiles and casts a strength-absorbing spell, and now he is stronger than the troll, so the small trolls and the giant troll run away scared. After that, Seiichi brings Artoria rare items that he found, and she scolds him because they are not medicinal herbs, so she gives him the medicinal herbs that she found so that they can advance to the next task. Meanwhile, the 3 trolls go to talk to their leader Leia. She asks them if they went to the human realm, but they say that they only put the teleportation spell to send humans to the Black Dragon God's dungeon. On the other hand, Seiichi and Saria meet Claude and tell him that they are about to take their last test under Artoria, and Claude asks them to remain friends with Artoria after finishing their tests, since she is a kind girl. Artoria takes them to an open field and tells them that they have to defeat 10 slimes each. But when Seiichi is about to defeat one, the slime disappears and Artoria checks the ground and realizes that there are many teleportation spells. Suddenly, Artoria steps on a spell and Seiichi and Saria take her hand to help her, but the 3 of them are teleported to a basement. Then, Artoria gives a guide stone to Seiichi, and tells him that it is an item to use when a party member separates from the group, and unfortunately, she gets distracted and steps on a trap that activates a wall that's separating them. Seiichi and Saria activate the guide stone to track Artoria, but the stone crashes into the wall and is of no use. While Artoria faces dangerous monsters, Seiichi and Saria find a talking chest that only one of them to interact with, and when it opens they find items and the guide stone begins to glow red, which means that Artoria is in danger. On the other hand, Artoria weakly reaches a door and is attacked by a black dragon, the most powerful demon of the Demon Lord's army. But Artoria is not intimidated and begins to transform into Berserk Calamity, and although the black dragon is surprised by her strength, he pierces her with its tail, and she laments for not being able to say goodbye to Saria and Seiichi. The dragon prepares to burn her, but Seiichi and Saria appear and save her from it. The next morning, Artoria avoids Seiichi and Saria because she is confused. While they are having breakfast, Saria says that she is going to help the nun Claire with the orphans, and Seiichi says that he will do a little research on this world instead of a quest. He asks Gussel if there are any upcoming events, and Gussel tells him that other countries conducted a hero summoning, and Eris explains that they brought heroes from another world to defeat the resurrected Demon Lord, and he can find out more about it in the Royal Library. Meanwhile, the Emperor of the Kaiser Empire, Sheldwool, complains to his advisor because Zakia still doesn't let the students have practical fights, and the advisor says that it is best to send them to Barbador Academy wearing slave bracelets so that they obey everything the Emperor ordered them. In the Royal Library, Seiichi reads several books about the Demon Lord, but all the books leave the demons as villains, but is always a man who hurts them, so he doesn't know what to believe. It's also difficult for him to read magical books because by just reading one word, he acquires hundreds of skills. After that, he goes to eat at a cafe where he chats friendly with two guys, Reyes and Noah. Meanwhile, Artoria is still confused by her feelings and runs into Adriana, who invites her to have tea at her mansion. Adriana says that when a man gives a woman a ring, it means a vow of eternal love, but Artoria starts to tear up because Seiichi already has Saria, and she wants him to love her too, so Adriana says she will help her win Seiichi's heart. In the cafe, the men tell Seiichi that in this place, giving a ring is a symbol of eternal love, and if he retracts it, he will be executed or captured. The problem is that Seiichi already loves Saria, and Rands tell him that he has to have an open mind and love both, but the bartender, Noah, says that whatever he does, he must be very clear with both of them, and Seiichi thanks him. He goes to the church to look for Saria, but Artoria shows up and wants to talk to him, and Seiichi internally psyches himself out that he should explain the ring misunderstanding to her, but she kisses him to shut him up. She starts to cry and tells him that she knows that he loves Saria and the ring means nothing, but she loves him and she just wants to be by his side. That makes Seiichi blush, and he can't reject her because that would break her heart. Suddenly, the doors of the church open and Saria asks Seiichi to accept Artoria since she understands that she cannot monopolize his heart. Plus, females are attracted to strong males, and Seiichi is the strongest of all. Then Seiichi kisses Artoria, and Saria celebrates because she also loves Artoria and wanted to be with her, and everyone they know congratulates them for making the decision to be together. Days later, Gussel tells Seiichi that every high-ranking adventurer needs a horse. Then Seiichi goes to his stable, and the owner asks him if he's going to participate in the Royal Cup, and explains that it is a violent and dangerous type of horse race, where the winner wins very expensive prizes, but Seiichi just wants a horse. Immediately, Seiichi gains the skill of knowing the donkey language. He inadvertently shows his strength to the donkey, and the donkey accepts that he is a suitable master and introduces itself. She is Lulum. So Seiichi decides to buy Lulum because they get along well. The two walk around the city and eat many delicious snacks until they come across a boy scolding a painter named May. He is Clay, son of Duke Burger, and he thinks May is very talented and wants her to enter the charity painting competition, which is held after the Royal Cup and is the most important painting competition in the entire kingdom of Wimberg. Seiichi also believes that she is an excellent painter and says that he will participate in the Royal Cup, and if he comes in one of the top place, she has to participate in the painting contest, and Clay tells Seiichi that if he gets to 5th place, he will win a delicious fish, the tambuli. On the day of the Royal Cup, Balloon is focused on winning because she wants to eat the tambuli, even more so after hearing that the 2nd place prize is photos of the captain of the Valkyries, Louise, and the 1st place winner will be able to spend the day with the Valkyries. The race circuit is simple. Participants only have to ride to the gates and circle the city walls and enter again. All obstructions and fights are valid between participants. The race begins and Lulun can barely walk because she forgot to eat breakfast, so Seiichi gives her a fruit of evolution, and they quickly ride to catch up with the other adventurers. Meanwhile, the adventurer in the lead summons A and B rank monster wolves to get rid of the competition. Lulun is now faster and stronger than she was before, and she defeats all the wolves in a second. The adventurers are so scared of Seiichi and Lulun that they decide to abandon the race, while Seiichi and Lulun ride to the finish line thinking that the race continues. Unfortunately, they win 1st place, much to the chagrin of Lulun, who only wanted to eat tambuli. This great race inspires May, who decides to participate in the painting contest, and Clay will also participate. Lulun cries more and begins to glow just as Artoria and Saria enter to congratulate them. To everyone's surprise, Lulun the donkey is now a beautiful girl. Artoria doesn't believe that Lulun is now a beautiful woman, but Saria turns into a pink gorilla to show her that anything is possible thanks to the fruit of evolution. So Artoria takes Lulun shopping for clothes and everyone is more comfortable now. Suddenly, the Valkyries Claudia and Lorna enter the clothing store and put magical handcuffs on Seiichi and take him away. Meanwhile, Leia goes to a meeting with the other captains of the Demon Lord's army divisions. They are Zolua, Xelos, Jade, Eurus, Lauretta, Lucia, daughter of the Demon Lord, and Kreese, Demon Lord's aide. Lucia summoned them because she wants to ally with the Wimberg Kingdom. Everyone is shocked, and Kreese says that she cannot want an alliance with the humans who have persecuted the demons for a long time, and besides, they are the ones who sealed away the Demon Lord. Then Leia tells them that a human defeated the Black Dragon God, and Lucia says that they cannot live in the past, they must ally with humans. Cray tries to dissuade her and reminds her that there is a prophecy that said that being involved with humans would only bring calamity to demons. The captains do not like that Cry speaks so condescendingly to Lucia, so they force him to recant, and Cry leaves saying that they will regret it, and the captains swear their loyalty to Lucia. Meanwhile, Cry plans how to continue with his evil plans. At the Kingdom of Wimberg Castle, Claudia and Lorna explain to Seiichi that this is his reward for winning the Royal Cup, spending time with the Valkyries, and they take him to the training area. Louise, the captain of the Valkyries, stands in the center and faces several Valkyries at once, but she defeats them without breaking a sweat. After that, Louise challenges Seiichi to a mock battle and won't take no for an answer, so they both face each other with wooden swords. Elsewhere, a new batch of students are teleported to Barbador Academy, and Shouta, Kenji, and Kanazuki meet up with other classmates who were taken there earlier. Now they are different, more violent and rude, and they quickly challenge them to defeat more monsters than them. But Kanazuki is not intimidated and does not allow them to order them what to do. Back to Seiichi and Louise's fight. She is surprised that he can evade her attacks and starts fighting seriously. And although Seiichi doesn't want to, many of his skills activate, and he manages to defeat her without hurting her. All the Valkyries are shocked. They have never seen their leader lose, and he is even more shocked when Louise bends the knee and asks him to be her master. After that, while Claudia and Seiichi have tea, Louise thanks him for saving her from loneliness. Since she was born, she has wielded the sword, and she has never been able to make friends because she is a genius with the sword. But that is not all true, since Claudia cries because now Louise's heart is at peace, and Louise is happy to have someone who cares about her, and they both hug each other. Then Seiichi tells Louis that he doesn't know what to teach her as a master, and she says that she will watch him and wants to spar with him, but suddenly, they hear a maid scream. She says that someone attacked the king. All the Valkyries go into action, and Louise tells Seiichi to go home because they can't involve an outsider in castle problems. But Seiichi activates his world vision skill and searches with his senses for the culprit, and is surprised to see that it's a child. She is Oliva Calmeria, an 8-year-old slave, who while fleeing falls from the roof right where Seiichi is. She is skilled with kunai, but not enough to stand up to him, so he quickly knocks her out. At that moment, the Valkyries arrive, and Seiichi tells them that Oliga is the and Louise tasks Lorna to interrogating her, since the knife with which Oliga stabbed the king was cursed with the curse of eternal slumber, and he will never wake up because the cure for that curse is not known. Then Seiichi asks Louise to take him to the king, and he is shocked to see that Ranz is the king, and Louise introduces her brother to Seiichi. He is Florio, leader of the magic division. Seiichi feels a little pressured, but he knows that he has a lot of magic inside him and he doesn't know how to use it. So he just puts his hands on the king's sleeping body and repeats over and over again that you will get better, and miraculously, he creates a charm to counteract the curse. Finally, King Ranz wakes up and says that he will reward Seiichi with whatever he wants. Meanwhile, Zakia has an audience with the Emperor of the Kaiser Empire, Sheld Wool, and asks him where the human students are, and the Emperor tells him that they are slaves and sent them to the Barbador Academy. There, Shouta, Kenji, and Kanazuki debate why they are ostracized there, but they are soon confronted by Togu, Oyama, and Kisaragi, who are the toughest, and mock them by saying that they were sent there to learn magic and be the strongest by defeating everyone. Back at the royal castle, the Valkyries take a bath, and Lorna continues to admire the wish that Seiichi made to the king. He wants to train magic and swordsmanship with Luis and the others. Meanwhile, in the Kaiser Empire, Zakia can't believe that his students have been sent to the Barbador Academy, and the Emperor says that his advisor Helio puts slave bracelets on them all, and they won't be able to reveal themselves. Suddenly, an arrow pierces the window, and Zakia destroys it before it hurts the Emperor and goes after the culprit. The Emperor believes that the culprit is a demon, and Helio says that King Ranz of Kingdom of Wimberg is making alliances with demons, and that is treason, since the Emperor wants to destroy the demons. But the Emperor says that he already taken measures. He sent the Dark to attack the king. Back at the royal castle, Seiichi's girls go looking for him, and Florio is surprised that he is married to Saria, has a girlfriend named Artoria, and a loyal servant Lulun, and not only that, Louise also belongs to Seiichi's harem because she considers him a master. Oliga's interrogation begins, and Lorna does not mess around and takes out her secret weapon, a pork dish that smells exquisite, and shows it off in Oliga's face so that she suffers for not being able to eat it. This is too much for Seiichi, and he stops the culinary torture. Even Louise thinks that Lorna went too far, so they give the dish to Oliga to eat. Louise says that she later realized that Oliga has a slave collar, and she followed orders to attack the king, and Oliga shows them that she is electrocuted if she tries to take it off. Meanwhile, in the Kaiser Empire, the emperor is angry when he learns that Oliga failed, and Helio assures him that if she does not carry out his orders, she will end her own life. In the forest, Zekia questions his loyalty to the emperor after meeting the archer, who attacked the emperor the day before, Shane, who told him that he was trying to avenge the of a demon girl who was selling flowers in the town. But thanks to the emperor's official mandate, the guards can eliminate all the innocent demons in the city. Shane urged Zekia to stop being the puppet, and after a fight he left. Returning to the royal castle, Seiichi tries to create a spell with magic that will remove Oliga's slave collar, but it is very difficult to visualize what he has to do, until he thinks about Abraham Lincoln, President of America who abolished slavery, that helps him create liberation magic and manages to break Oliga's slave collar. The girl begins to cry of happiness at being free and tells them that she is a cat beast folk of the Kaiser Empire. They're the beast folk were imprisoned, and only the children survived and were put in an academy to become machines. She feels guilty because her hands are swollen from all the successful missions she had, but Seiichi assures her that it wasn't her fault but the Kaiser Empire's. Then Saria proposes that Oliga stay with them, and Seiichi agrees because he sees her as a little sister. But Oliga does not want to because she fears that the Kaiser Empire will retaliate against Seiichi. But he assures her that he is stronger than he seems, and Oliga agrees to stay with him and the girls. Meanwhile, in the Kaiser Empire, Helio contacts Kreese, and the two say that they have to reform the plan because Lucia wants to ally with Rands, so Kreese has summoned a horde of monsters for his new plan. Days later, Seiichi continues his magical training with Florio. He improves more and more with the use of magic, but they are interrupted by Louise. She asks Seiichi to protect King Rands in her absence, since she received a report from Black Paladin. He reports that there are many sightings of monsters along the edges of the kingdom, and Black Paladin's army is not enough. So Louise will guide the Valkyries there. The trip will take a week, and perhaps the whole thing will last at least a month, and the king can't stay that long without protection. Then the next day, Louise and the Valkyries leave, and Seiichi stays as the king's protector. 1 week later, Eris and Gussel go to the royal castle because they bring holy mage Barna. He is the greatest magician of all and wants to talk with the king. When Rand sees him, he gets very excited because he was his old teacher. Barna is the principal of Barbador Magic Academy and tells him that since the Emperor of Kaiser enrolled his heroes brought from another world, the problems have increased, and that leaves Seiichi thoughtful. Suddenly, a knight runs in to tell the king that a horde of 5,000 boss-level monsters have appeared in the neighboring forest and have begun to invade Telbert, which is unprotected because the Valkyries are not there. Meanwhile, far away on the border of the territory, Louise and her Valkyries are preparing to attack the monsters together with Black Paladin and his army. Both of them are unstoppable with the sword. But suddenly, Claudia brings the bad news: a capital is being invaded by other monsters. All this is the work of Kreese, who rejoices at the thought of Telbert falling fast. In Telbert, Seiichi's girls, the king's knights, and the adventurers prepare to defend the city from the monster's siege. Gussel leads the adventurers from the first impact. Seiichi wants to join them, but Barna tells him to wait and watch. Gussel and Eris are the strongest and destroy monsters without breaking a sweat, while the other adventurers defeat monsters with attacks. The knights even say that the adventurers are stronger, and even Noah reveals his identity as a former. Finally, Seiichi girls also show how strong they are, and especially Oliga, who defeats hundreds of monsters at the same time. Then Barna, who had fallen asleep for a while, wakes up and casts powerful spells, defeating almost all the monsters. Suddenly, a report comes in saying that another horde of giant boss-level monsters are approaching Telbert. Seiichi begins to think about how to come up with an ultimate spell that will defeat all the monsters but not hurt his people. So he visualizes the goddess of judgment and creates the spell. At first he thinks it didn't work, but suddenly, the sky becomes cloudy and lightning begins to fall on all monsters. Everyone is surprised that Seiichi wiped out all the monsters in a second. Even a lightning strike hits Kreese. Suddenly, Seiichi begins to absorb all the powers of the defeated monsters, even though he doesn't want them. Barda was so impressed by Seiichi's powers that he asked him to come to his academy as a teacher, and he also wanted him to teach him how to use the judgment spell. But Seiichi tells him that he can't leave the city because he must protect the king until Louise and her Valkyries return, and besides, he doesn't want to be away from his girls. Then Barda tells him that Saria can be a student, Artoria a teacher, Lulu can be a martial arts teacher or a student, and Alaga can be his assistant. That convinces Seiichi and the girls, and they all agree to go with Barda when Louise and the Valkyries return. The next few days, Seiichi decides to spend time with his girls separately. He takes Lulu to eat delicious food, and with Artoria they go to see a play. And when it's Saria's turn, she asks Alaga to come with them because she doesn't like leaving her alone, and he agrees. They treat Alaga as if she were their little daughter and take her to play with other children, and when they are alone, he thanks Saria for falling in love with him and tells her that he loves her, which makes Saria tear up, and she says that she is the grateful one for having his love. Suddenly, they see a sign and Seiichi sees two familiar faces. It turns out that today is the charity painting competition, so Seiichi and all the girls are going to see the final of the competition. The first to present his work of art is Clay. His art reflects the flames of a matchstick, although everyone gives it a different meaning. May presents her painting, and to Seiichi's surprise, it is him riding Lulun in the race, and she says that he is her hero. Happily, she wins first place, even though the judge was Clay's grandfather, and he offers her to study painting in the city of art, Amuria. The next day, Louise and the Valkyries return to Telbert, and Seiichi and his girls can go to Barbador Academy. Meanwhile, Cry is still weak after being struck by lightning, and a voice complains because his resurrection is being delayed. He tells him that he needs despair, misfortune, and chaos to revive. So Angry, another aide, says that they can get all that at the Barbador Academy, since they're full of children of royalty, from whom they can take their lives and cause despair. Meanwhile, at the Barbador Academy, Kanazuki can't stop thinking about Eri. She is a girl who asked her about Seiichi since he saved her life once. Back in Telbert, the entire city bids farewell to Seiichi, their hero, and wishes him good luck on his new adventure. On the way to the Barbador Academy, a new guy appears. He claims to be a hero of justice, guardian of certain victory. Seiichi has a horrifying vision where he and Saria fight a very powerful silver-haired boy, and Saria is mortally. Fortunately, it was all a dream, or so Seiichi believes. Then Barna tells them that they have arrived at the city of Barbador Magic Academy. Meanwhile, at the academy, Kanazuki is shocked and tells Shouta and Kenji that after a long time she has smelled a nostalgic smell. In Barda's office, the old magician explains to Seiichi and his girls that the academy is divided in two because the children of royalty and nobility do not get along well with the humans enrolled by the Kaiser Empire because they are prodigies at being hero candidates. Seiichi's job will be to be the savior of this academy and maintain order among all the students, and not only that, he has to train the talented students who can match the hero candidates. On the other hand, Saria and Lulun will be students, Artoria will be adventuring instructor, and Oliba will be Seiichi's assistant. Seiichi cannot believe how his life has changed. Before he used to be, and now he will be a teacher at an important academy, and all thanks to the fruit of evolution. Then Barda tells Seiichi that he will teach Class F problem kids. Suddenly, a teacher called Beatrice enters Barda's office and scolds him for leaving so long without the teacher's permission and gives him a mountain of backed-up paperwork, and she doesn't care that Barda has gone on a trip for the sake of the academy. Beatrice takes Seiichi and his girls and tells them that she was the former teacher of Class F. Then she shows Artoria and Lulun their classes and they leave. Then Beatrice tells Seiichi that Class F are not problem children. It is her fault that she could not make their talents flourish. But as soon as he enters the classroom, he is the victim of a prank and is surprised to see that there are only 4 students and they don't seem to be very friendly. Meanwhile, in a hidden cavern, Kreese and Helio talk about the Great Devil Order and their plan to resurrect their deity, the Great Evil, by sacrificing students from Barbador Academy. But suddenly, Kreese is attacked by Demioras and Angry, and they tell him that they are the ones who will go to the academy, and they don't care that the plan is not finished yet. The Class F introduces themselves. Agnos Passion is a rude boy who has won 999 fights, who as soon as he sees Saria, falls in love with her. Although his love goes away quickly when she introduces herself and shows them that she can transform into a gorilla, and Seiichi and Alaga say it's a magic trick. Then Brood Kaiser, Prince of the Kaiser Empire, is introduced, an arrogant boy who does not get along with Agnos because he views him as inferior. Next up is Helen Rosa, a pretty girl who doesn't like to talk, and finally, the strangest of all, Baird Lutra, a boy who only talks writing on signs and uses a bear's head to hide his face. After the introductions, Seiichi concludes that he cannot teach these students even if there are only 4 of them. Meanwhile, Kanazuki follows Seiichi's scent trail throughout the academy and bumps into Eri and tells her that she can smell Seiichi's scent, which makes Eri happy, and she also runs to look for him. Returning to Class F, Beatrice asks Seiichi to observe the practical abilities of the students as a special lesson, and the 4 students take it as a challenge. So while Seiichi and Beatrice go to talk to Barda about why the F class is called Dropout Course, Saria stays with her new classmates and tells them that she is Seiichi's wife, which shocks them, and she also tells them that he is super strong. Then they arrive at the practice room but run into the S class. led by Theobald, Kaiser's crown prince and Brud's older brother. He starts to mock them but stops when he sees Saria and gets mesmerized by her beauty. He asks her out, but she rejects him with a smile because she loves Seiichi and thinks he's cooler than Theobald, which leaves him crushed, and he leaves saying that he'll bury them in the class competition. After that, Seiichi arrives and asks his students to show him their skills. He tells them that he will not use magic to have fair fights, but that makes Helen angry because she thinks he is underestimating them, and she decides to be the first to confront him. Helen begins to attack him with surprising intensity and hatred. Meanwhile, in a distant forest, Demiurge and Angria brag about how many Academy students they can eliminate and decide to compete against each other. Helen is incredible with her twin crimson blades and even takes Seiichi by surprise, who almost gets hurt. Then she launches a violent attack at him, but he deflects it and takes her in his arms to prevent her from falling, and inadvertently, he touches her chest, which makes her angry and she punches him, ending the fight. Next is Agnos, but Brud suggests that the three boys together face Seiichi, and Agnos reluctantly agrees. Seiichi also accepts because he wants to see their teamwork. The fight begins and they are very good at working together, but Seiichi manages to defeat them with a little magic, and instead of getting angry, the boys get sad because once again they have been defeated by someone with magic, since these four students are the only ones who do not have magic. Then Seiichi activates his world vision to check on his four students and sees that their bodies have restrictive chains of magic. They have a condition that is preventing the activation of their magic. Seiichi suffers to see them so defeated because they remind him of his old self, who was bullied by something beyond his control, and he feels sorry for everything they have endured being in a magic academy without being able to use magic. Seiichi now realizes why Headmaster Barda brought him to the academy and begins to visualize a way to release the magic from the bodies of his students. Inevitably, he thinks of Lincoln again and creates a very complicated spell that breaks the chains that restrain them. The first to notice a change is Helen. She joyfully begins to use fire magic. Just like Agnos, Barrett has super strength, while Brud is able to handle magic water. Suddenly, Helen starts laughing with tears in her eyes, and the others too, and Beatrice cries with happiness for her students. Meanwhile, Kanazuki follows Seiichi's scent trail and runs into Artoria, who runs away from her because she keeps sniffing her everywhere, and not only that, Seiichi's smell is also all over Lulun's body, and that confuses Kanazuki a lot. Later, at lunchtime, Seiichi meets with his girls and Kanazuki finally reaches him. At first, she doesn't recognize him, but when he turns around, she runs to hug him in front of his girls. At that same moment, Demiurge and Angria arrive at the doors of the Academy city and pass the magical barrier without problems, and Angry hypnotizes the guards so that they do not warn of their arrival. Artoria immediately gets jealous and beats up Seiichi because she thinks Kanazuki is another girlfriend of Seiichi, and Beatrice scolds her because that's not the right attitude for a teacher. When Seiichi thinks things have calmed down, Kanazuki sniffs him and realizes that he has 4 different feminine scents, and they all come from the girls she sniffed today. Then, Kanazuki demands an explanation from the girls because she has been Seiichi's childhood best friend for many years. That doesn't sit well with Artoria, Lulun, and Oliga, who fight back saying that they are his girlfriend, servant, and little sister, but that combination is not enough to defeat Kanazuki. Unfortunately for Kanazuki, Saria presents herself as Seiichi's wife, the ultimate wife, and the only one who lives in his heart, which completely defeats Kanazuki. Beatrice intervenes and takes them to a room to fix their problematic relationship. Saria says that there is no reason to fight because they all share a bond with Seiichi, and they all start saying what they like about him. Then Kanazuki tells them that the first time she met Seiichi was many years ago. When she was a little girl, the boys beat her because she looked like a boy, but Seiichi defended her, although he earned several hits from other kids. After that, Seiichi decides to be honest with his girls and tells them that he comes from the same world as Kanazuki and transforms into his original form, a short, smelly, fat, and unattractive boy, and tells them that thanks to the fruit of evolution, he evolved into the Seiichi they know, and asks them for forgiveness for having deceived them all this time. But Saria tells him that he is still him. She fell in love with his way of being, not because of his appearance, and she transforms into a gorilla, saying that in her past, present, and future form, she is still Saria, and the same goes for him. After that, Kanazuki tells Seiichi that it is best for him not to get involved with her because if the students of this world find out what he was like before, he could be attacked. But Seiichi's girl says that he is now really strong and she does not have to worry, although Kanazuki says that she does not want him to be involved in more. As she was leaving, Oliga sees the slave bracelet that Kanazuki has on her wrist and shows it to Seiichi, and Kanazuki says that the Emperor of Kaiser Empire gave it to everyone, saying that it is used to increase their skills. Suddenly, an inhuman fury swallows Seiichi. The mere thought that his dear childhood friend is a slave without knowing it enrages him, and his power and anger is unleashed throughout the world. All the kingdoms feel that surge of power, and all the slave bracelets break. When Seiichi is about to be eaten by his fury, Saria wakes him up and he returns to normal. Then he tells Kanazuki that those bracelets are used to control slaves, and the principal Barda joins the conversation and says that surely the Emperor of Kaiser was going to use them to defeat the Demon Lord army, since the Wimberg Kingdom is trying to forge an alliance with the Demon Kingdom. And not only that, the Kaiser Empire does not want any kingdom to make alliances because they want to dominate them all. They want world domination. After that, Kanazuki asks Seiichi to let her join them in a new role. She wants to be his older sister. All this is heard by Eri, who is happy to see Seiichi again. Meanwhile, Demi-Rose and Angry have a coffee while discussing what was that dark power they felt, and suddenly, they receive a message from Helio telling them that the students' bracelets have been broken and the dark power that was felt increased the strength of the darkness of the Great Devil. His revival is near. The next day, Seiichi's students ask him to train them because they want to beat Class S in the class competition, and he accepts. In the practice room, they attack Seiichi with all their newly learned spells, but he easily stops them, although he remains thoughtful because he feels a strange power inside him. Suddenly, Theobald and Class S enter the practice room, and he starts making fun of Seiichi and his students, which angers Helen, who pulls her blade twins out, and Theobald realizes that she is from Valsha Empire and threatens her, saying that her little nation will soon fall under the rule of the Kaiser Empire, and leaves saying that he will crush them in class competition. After that, the students of Class F intensify their training thanks to Seiichi and Beatrice. Meanwhile, Demi-Rose and Angria walk around the city of the academy, eating many desserts and buying new clothes, but they are scolded by a silver-haired boy who has a very dark power and makes them tremble with fear. Days later, the class competition begins, and to everyone's surprise, the first match is between Class S and Class F, but the match is going to start without Seiichi's presence because he was trapped in the bathroom after eating a spoiled sweet bun. The first to face each other will be the princes of the Kaiser Empire, Theobald, who's blood. Suddenly, Demi-Rose and Angry interrupt the match and tie the principal Barda with magical bonds, and Angry says that they are part of the Great Devil Order and they are going to sacrifice the students. Then Demi-Rose locks all the students in the stands in a light spell, and whoever tries to escape instantly. Theobald tries to attack Angry and she evades him easily and turns the rest of the S class into her minions, who begin to attack Theobald. Brood helps him fight, and Agnos uses his fire powers to knock out the S class. Brood proposes that Theobald and his friends join together to face Demi-Rose and Angry. The five make a good team and manage to match Angry's strength, and they take off the mask that she wears on her face. This infuriates her, and she swears to eliminate them right now. That mask not only hit Angry's face, it also contained the power of her hellfire, and with a display of fury, she defeats the five in minutes. And when Angry is about to turn Helen's face, Beatrice manages to break the wall of light and stops her. Angry and mocks Beatrice for wanting to protect the students and turns Agnos into one of her minions, and he starts attacking Beatrice. Then Beatrice hits him on the head with her teacher's book and orders him to return to normal, and as she has done so many times, Agnos' soul remembers her and breaks the mask that imprisoned him, and he returns to normal. With Agnos safe, Beatrice shows how powerful she is and fights Angria, and to everyone's joy, she defeats her. Although Demi-Rose reminds them that he is still there and begins to electrocute Principal Barda to get their attention. Angry wakes up and asks him to give her some of his power so she can continue fighting, since they are both apostles of the Great Devil Order. But he explains that only he is an apostle because he received a portion of the Great Devil's power, and a crest has appeared on his body as proof of this. Angry is then absorbed by the Great Devil. Then the fight between Demi-Rose and Beatrice begins, and he is much more powerful than Angry and knocks her out easily. So the students of Class F get in the way and start fighting Demi-Rose, but they are nothing to him, and Beatrice stands up to protect them. Demi-Rose laughs that she is ready to for her students, and luckily, Seiichi appears to stop him. When he sees everything that has happened, his eyes turn red with fury, and Demi-Rose fears for his life and summons all the power. His body has to face him, and no matter how many attacks he throws at him, Seiichi is indestructible, and with a single punch he defeats him. Everyone celebrates Seiichi's victory, and Brood helps his brother, who feels ashamed for having been defeated so easily. Meanwhile, in another place, Jempol Vitor, Judas of the Great Devil Order, meet and talk about the defeat of Angrias and Demi-Rose. Their leader seems to be a silver-haired boy called Destra. He says that he didn't have much faith in those two in Jempol, that he will follow the plan to revive the Great Devil. Back in the battle arena, Barda tells them that the final battle is near, but no one pays attention because joy floods the place thanks to Seiichi's victory. So they don't realize that Demi-Rose's spirit is still there, and with the last of his remaining power, he launches an electric attack at Seiichi and almost hits him squarely, if not for Eri, who pushed him away in time. Although even Eri remains unconscious, and Saria screams in despair. Everyone cries over Seiichi's unconscious body, thinking the worst. But in reality, he and Eri are in the underworld, and to get out of there, the voice called God saying that they must find the gate of the living that exists somewhere in the underworld and pass through it. But first, they must cross the river Styx by answering a question about them. The voice asks if Eri fell in love at first sight to Seiichi. Unfortunately, Eri cannot answer because it is against the rules, and Seiichi tries to guess the answer and chooses the X at random. Lucky for them, the answer is correct, and the voice shows them a video from their past, the first time they met in middle school. It turns out that Eri liked to have lunch alone on the roof because she didn't know how to talk to others, and Seiichi had lunch alone on the roof because the others bullied him, and he gave her the advice to trust herself because she was a pretty girl who knew how to listen to others, and that advice strengthened Eri's spirit, and she became the happy girl that she is today. Then Eri tells him that this time she will save him. Meanwhile, in the world of the living, Wimberg Kingdom prepares to form a peace alliance with the Demon Kingdom, and Lucia informs her aides about this decision, while Ranz tells Gussel and Eris. Back in the underworld, Seiichi and Eri prepare for their second trial, and he is surprised to see the ancestors of the adventurers from his guild. Seiichi must cross a giant labyrinth protecting his personal gate from them. Seiichi and Eri run through the maze and defend themselves as best they can. They even manage to defeat 2 of them. But the leader uses his secret technique, Rose Fist, and corners Seiichi on the wall, and he screams when he feels the guy's fingers, but he doesn't let himself be defeated so quickly. When Seiichi recovers, he begins to attack the guy and manages to knock him out to escape the maze and climb the stairs of the Gate of Living with Eri. Before leaving the underworld, the voice of God tells him to check his status. Finally, Seiichi and Eri wake up in the world of the living, and everyone cries with happiness, although Eri turns away from them and looks strange. Suddenly, Louise, the leader of the Valkyries, appears and is badly injured. Days before, in the Wimberg Kingdom, Gussel and Eris are auditioning new recruits for the guild as the alliance with the demon Lingdom is getting closer. Unfortunately, all the auditions are a failure until a blonde man with a rose arrives. He is Vitor and demonstrates his skills by shaking his hips and showing off his hard muscles. He is immediately accepted. Days later, Lucia and her assistants arrive at King Ranz's royal castle and are warmly received by him and the guild of Gussel and Eris. Meanwhile, in the Kaiser Empire, all its inhabitants lack energy, and Zakia worries about everything that is happening, and by chance, he overhears Helios talk with Kreese, in which they celebrate the fall of the Kaiser Empire into the hands of the Great Devil Order, as they continue to gather negative energy from the royal family and the inhabitants of the kingdom. Zakia gets angry and tries to attack Helio, but he escapes laughing, saying that he can't stop what is going to happen. Then Zakia saddles his horse and goes to other kingdoms as he remembers the promise he made to the former Emperor Alf. He told him that when the kingdom is in danger, he should work with the other kingdoms. But when he is about to arrive at the Wimberg Kingdom, he runs into Destra. Although he seems like a good boy, he is and has immense and dark power wielded by the scythe he possesses. He captures Zakia and mocks his sword, but Zakia tells him that the sword was given to him by Emperor Alf many years ago, and he would not dishonor it by losing it. But his powers are not enough to confront the boy, and he prepares to be... Suddenly, Louise intervenes and saves him. It turns out that she was going to the Barbador Academy in search of Seiichi, because King Ranz wants him to be present when the alliance between Ranz and Lucia is signed. And she is worried that the alliance between Ranz and Lucia will not be signed, but Seiichi assures her that they will achieve it. Meanwhile, in the Wimberg Kingdom, the negotiation of the alliance is not going very well, since the 2 factions find many differences between them, but the Vidor reminds them that they must leave the fights aside and form a strong alliance that moves everyone, and they start to hug each other, and that's how they are found by Seiichi and his girls. So Louise and Seiichi tell Ranz and Lucia about the Great Devil Order and the Kaiser Empire, and that's the only thing missing to make them decide that the alliance is the best decision, and together, they print their hands on the document that officially forges the alliance between the Demon Kingdom and the Wimberg Kingdom. After Seiichi and Saria left Barbador Academy, Eri seems strangely happy, which is noticed by Kanazuki. While Eri is alone, she remembers his past. She is no Eri, he is Gempel the Doppelganger, one of the 4 of the Great Devil Order. He grew up as a child of the upper-class nobility, but since he never had love from his parents, he lost his face and began to use the face and body of other people. Then Gempel goes to the boys' bathroom and starts attacking Agnos and his friends and changes shape, goes from Eri to Saria, and after defeating them, takes his real form as Gelbo. After that, he resumes his Eri form and goes to see Lulun, and when he is about to attack her from behind with a knife, Lulun evades him, thinking that Eri wanted to steal her Bakugan. Kendall thinks she is stupid, but Lulun surprises him by giving him Bakugan. She considers Eri a great friend because she saves Seiichi. That makes Gempel melancholy because he never had friends. Then Lulun tells him that by sharing food they are now best friends, which makes Gempel cry, and he runs away. Later, Gempel takes the form of Lulun and goes to see Aliga, who is watching the rain. He's about to attack her, but Alaga gives him an umbrella so Lulu doesn't get wet. That makes Jembel remember the time some children took away his umbrella and beat him. When he asks her why she gives it to him, Olivia tells him that she's her friend and Jembel runs away from her. Meanwhile, Seiichi and Saria stop to buy drinks before continuing the trip, and Saria meets the silver-haired boy. He tells her that she looks like someone from his past, and he asks Seiichi if he is happy. He and Saria answer that they are, and that makes him jealous. He says goodbye to them, saying that they will see each other again soon. Returning to the Barbador Academy, Jembel takes the form of Seiichi and goes to see Artoria. He wants to hug her to stab her from behind, but she turns red as a tomato and evades his hug with a punch. She tells him that she is very happy that he is alive and tells him that she loves him. Jembel blushes and she asks him to hug her, and he is shocked, wondering if Seiichi is such a good person. So Jembel decides to stay at the academy to find out why these girls adore Seiichi so much, but as the days go by, he begins to enjoy school life. One day, while Barda, the girls, and Jembel are on a picnic, an ogre attacks them, and Jembel says that the monster was surely awakened by the Great Devil's pulse, and when the ogre is about to attack Artoria, Jembel scares it with his gaze. Suddenly, Hanazuki appears and says that this Seiichi is an impostor because he doesn't have Seiichi's usual smell. No one can fool her nose. Then Jembel decides to stop pretending to be someone else and reveals his true form. He tells them that his plan was to eliminate Seiichi's most loved people, but while impersonating him, he realized that he also wants to have love and friendship from other people towards him, and tells them that he will leave the Great Devil Order. Barda says they should let him go because Jembel can take them all out without breaking a sweat, but he decided not to. It's a ray of hope. In the afternoon, Jembel is happy at the prospect of finding people who love him, but someone shows up and eliminates him. At the Wimberg Kingdom, the adventurers have a night of drinking, and while everyone is drunk, Pacifier Man is attacked. Gussel and Vidor begin to investigate the case, acting like real detectives, although Eris has to control them so that they do not damage the evidence, and finds it suspicious that Vidor says that this is not the work of the Great Devil Order. After that, Gussel and Vidor begin to interrogate the suspects. The first is Trenchcoat Man. He manages to convince them of his innocence by showing them how white and soft his is, although Eris finds it ridiculous. The next suspect to be interrogated is Destroyer. In the afternoon, they build a grave to bury Pacifier Man, although Eris reminds them that he is alive, so they are surprised when Pacifier Man wakes up and explains that he slipped and fainted last night. Then, Gussel thanks Vidor for being his friend and helping him discover the truth. Meanwhile, Seiichi returns to Barbador Academy and tells his students that the Wimberg Kingdom and the Demon Kingdom have forged an alliance and the fight against the Great Devil Order is approaching, so he asks them to train seriously. Back in the Wimberg Kingdom, Eris feels that someone is following her, and it is Vitor. He confesses his identity and tells her that he came to get rid of her and punches her in the stomach. Suddenly, Gussel appears and asks him why he is doing this if they are friends, but Vitor mocks him, saying that he never considered him a friend, and Gussel gives him a reinforced punch that sends him flying away. Then he follows him, and the two start fighting away from the city. Vitor always had to hold back because his strength is inexhaustible, and now he feels happy because for the first time he can fight at full strength. But Gussel tells him that he is not fighting at his full capacity, and Vitor unleashed his true strength, the resonance, and his muscles tripled in size. Then the two say that they don't care about the Great Devil Order, they just want to fight without holding back, so the fight restarts. The punches that are thrown are devastating, but the two hold on until Gussel starts to cry and tells Vidor that his muscles are crying because he didn't take good care of them. Vidor doesn't understand what he's talking about until his muscles start to shake from using them so much. Gussel uses the hidden power that he carries within him when thinking about his friends and throws his last punch with enough force to destroy an entire city, but Vidor dodges it and Gussel faints. Vidor feels that for the first time he lost a battle, but he is not sad. Suddenly, Judas, another member of the Great Devil Order, scolds him for losing and tells him that he heard him saying that he didn't care about the Great Devil Order, and that is unforgivable, so he eliminates him. Meanwhile, at Barbador Academy, something strange happens to Seiichi. He can't use his powers. In a distant anemone meadow, Destra remembers his teacher with affection, but that memory turns tragic and he destroys the flowers. Meanwhile, at Barbador Academy, Barda tells Seiichi that he brought him to the academy because he knew that he would cross paths with the great evil due to the fruit of evolution. Then Beatrice tells the legend of creation in ancient times when the gods were creating the worlds. One god rebelled against the other gods, he was the great evil and was sealed away with this world. That god hated all other gods, and those negative emotions took shape, and the crystallization of hatred formed the fruit of evolution, which plagued the world. And when the other gods found out, they eliminated all the evolution fruit plants, and now there are few left, and they are considered legendary items. Finally, Barda says that those who eat the maximum evolution fruits become fodder for the great devil, fodder chock full of the aura of despair. And everyone gets worried when Seiichi tells them that he has eaten 10 evolution fruits, the upper limit. Then Bardas tells them about Dresta. He was a student at Barbador Academy and his pupil. Many years ago, Destra lost his parents in the war. Barda took custody of him and enrolled him in the academy. Destra adored Professor Libera, who was very kind to the students and very pretty. One day, Destra gave Professor Libera a hairpin made of her favorite flowers. The anemone and everything seemed to be going well, but tragedy did not take long to arrive. Sometime later, fire monsters began to burn the academy and destroy everything in their path, and Destra was cornered by a monster. But Libera protected him with her body and was alive. The only thing that remained of her was the hairpin that Destra had given her. That was the second time that Destra suffered a misfortune, and he let himself be consumed by pain and hatred towards the gods. The darkness swallowed him up, and he gladly accepted it because he wanted revenge. Then Destra ate the evolution fruit, and the evil magic took over him, and he told Barda that it was all his fault and he would not rest until everyone suffered. From that day on, Barda feels guilty for not being able to save Libera and Destra. Suddenly, Destra teleports to the academy with the power of Judas and freezes them all with dark magic. He wants to take Seiichi, but Barda tries to prevent it and fights with Destra. But the power difference is high and the old man is defeated. Then, Judas teleports Seiichi and Destra to a world made of the accumulation of negative emotions, and Destra tells him that the great evil is sealed here. Suddenly, Saria also appears there, and Destra says that she is a special guest to witness what is about to happen. And Destra tells him that the power that the great evil gave him is the power to others without the opportunity to resurrect. He was supposed to gather despair from others to revive the great devil, but he got tired of waiting, so he will use Seiichi's negative energy to revive him and then eliminate him himself. Seiichi doesn't understand why he would do it, and Destra says that many years ago he swore to destroy all the gods who created the world that made him suffer so much. The fight between Seiichi and Destra begins, and Seiichi's magic still doesn't work well, so he only fights using his swords, and logically, Destra hits him deeply with his scythe. Before Destra finishes Seiichi, Saria transforms into a gorilla and saves him. But no matter how much she hits him, Destra doesn't feel a scratch. Then he begins to hurt her body with his scythe, and finally he punches her with evil magic on her chest. Seiichi screams in despair because he knows that if Saria they will not be able to revive her due to the power of the great devil. Just like in that vision from long ago, Saria is mortally wounded and begins to say goodbye to Seiichi, thanking him for his love and for how happy she was being his wife. Saria breathes her last time, and Destra mocks Seiichi, saying that it's all his fault because he has no powers, and despair and hatred begin to fill Seiichi's heart. The evolution fruit pulses inside Seiichi, and he is swallowed by darkness because he no longer cares what happens. Saria no longer exists. Suddenly, Seiichi opens his eyes and sees his life go by since he came to this world. Memories flood his vision, and he thinks about how happy he was. Destra tells him that they are the same because the world was unfair to them, since he knows that this is not his true form and he used to be bullied in the other world. Then Seiichi begins to give up, but he remembers Saria's love and tells Destra that they are not the same because thanks to the fact that he felt the pain, he was able to empathize with the pain of others and be kind, thus gaining the friendship and love of other people. At that moment, Saria's spirit appears and asks him not to lose before hugging him and leaving. Suddenly, the evolution fruit begins to pulse in Seiichi's heart, and he evolves again to the true evolution of love. Now Seiichi looks like a fairy tale prince, and his magic emanates life. The plants begin to grow, and all the people Destra eliminated come back to life, starting with Zekia, Jempol, and Vitor. Then Seiichi tells Destra that his love evolution is complete and the fight restarts. Destra begins to attack him with his magic while Seiichi fights with love magic. Destra doesn't understand why his powers are useless against Seiichi, and he takes the opportunity to kick Destra, and he starts crying and saying that he thought the two of them were going to be the same, but now he will also leave him alone. Seiichi takes pity on him and tells him that he can also transform his pain into kindness because the truth is that they are the same. That moves Destra, and he hugs him and says that he finally understands and decides to take his life using his dark magic, and Seiichi tries to cure him but can't since Destra only wants to reunite with Libera. Destra's lifeless body begins to glow and transforms into a fruit of evolution, which shrinks and is absorbed by the ground. Suddenly, Saria appears alive behind him, since the power of his love was able to revive her even though she died from black magic, and he hugs her happily. She thanks him for being her husband, and her happiness is so big that she transforms into a gorilla and starts kissing him. After that, they return to Barbador Academy and are greeted with joy for their victory, although Principal Barda is sad for Destra. Days later, Seiichi and his girls go on a picnic enjoying the days of peace. Jempol is hired by Barbador Academy and is the new teacher of Class F. Demioros and Angria were also revived and continue to enjoy going to eat desserts. Even Destra has her happy ending because he was able to meet Libera again in a field of anemones. The only one left alone is Judas, who let himself be swallowed by black magic. And finally, Saria asks Seiichi if their love will continue to evolve, and he tells her yes, and that they will live many, many happy years.